XRP is getting ready to pivot back into a bull run, and this macro pivot is what I want you guys to be prepared for. We have seen how XRP did it in the 2022 bear market, where it came down to its low and it hung out there for a while. I'm going to show you how XRP gave us multiple opportunities to pick up sub 32 cent XRP over a 6-month period, and then the opportunity was gone. Probably gone forever. The bears in the chat would probably say we're going to go back down to 30 cents again. I don't think that's coming, but we present this information in today's video to let the people who need more know that the opportunity is here and show you how XRP has bottomed out in the previous cycle and what we're expecting to come this time around, which is a conclusion of the bear market here in the next 6 months and a pivot back into a full-blown bull run. And in fact, if XRP is trading how it historically has, the bottom for XRP might already be in. We bottomed out in June of 2022. That was the bear market low. And XRP did just go down to $1.01 in June of 2026. Was that the low? You guys let me know in the comments down below, but let's make sure everybody's prepared because we do have macro headwinds that present an issue for this bull run starting right now. I know we want it to start today. We wanted it to continue from last year and a super cycle to take place. That hasn't happened. We've been bleeding out for the first 6 months of this year, mostly because of the Iran war. And now we're starting to see the Japan carry trade starting to unwind again. And this touches on a bigger liquidity crisis, and we're seeing it hit the private credit market as well. So as I explained on last night's live show, these headwinds for markets could bring in the final lows of the crypto cycle during Q3. I have my buy orders ready. I have a buy order for XRP at $1.01. And then I also have a buy order at 92 cents on our sponsor, I Trust Capital. If you guys haven't already signed up with them, I encourage you guys to take a look at their platform. Award-winning US-based customer support with free institutional grade custody. And of course, they're running the $100 funding bonus special. So use my link down below, fund your account, and get that $100 funding bonus. But more importantly, get your orders in no matter what platform you're using. Because we're about to get clarity. We're about to pivot back into a bull run. We put out some of these fires, or at least dampen them a little bit, and we go back into a full-blown bull run. Make no mistake about it. This is likely our last chance to get real legislation for digital assets on the books before 2030. If we fail to pass the Clarity Act, we are ensuring another country will write the rules for digital assets, and we spend the next decade catching up. This is from Senator Cynthia Loomis. And this is now starting to come in from both sides of the aisle, from law enforcement groups. We have Andrew Cuomo, former governor of New York, who is now stepping in and saying that I've always believed that the technology was going to revolutionize the financial system for the better, faster, more efficient, more access 24/7, better for the consumer and better for the economy. And, you know, whether you got the Republicans, you got the Democrats and all this political pandering, at the end of the day, this is the technology that all of the people are demanding we have access to. Right? We don't want the government to pick winners and losers. We just want rules of the road. And America needs to do what America does best. Let the free market entrepreneurs and capitalists, some of our best innovators in the world, let them build in this country. Whether you have a D or an R or you're left or you're right or you're this color or that. Level playing field. It's what we've been advocating for this entire time. And this is why I have to laugh at the political pandering of, oh, we're so concerned about ethics. And ethics is the big holdup because Trump family made some money. It's an absolute joke, but it's typical of DC and the DC dance that we despise so much. So although we're remaining hopeful here that the Clarity Act gets done, we are on the final countdown. Make no mistake about it. We have 20 working days left on the Senate calendar starting next week. They're in session for 4 weeks, 20 working days. They need to get it done. So Senator Cynthia Loomis, enough tweets. Where's the full draft version of the bill? This was supposed to be released over July 4th. Let's keep the ball rolling. Let's build on the momentum and let's get this done. Both sides of the aisle should be coming together. Let's make America the crypto capital of the world. And what do you think this does as far as pivoting us back into a macro bull run? It's coming. It absolutely is coming. Japan is saying that Bitcoin and XRP are becoming corporate treasury assets. SBI VC Trade says Japanese firms are adding Bitcoin and XRP to their balance sheet as the yen continues to lose purchasing power. It registered accounts across VC Trade and BitPoint have now passed 2 million, roughly doubling from 2025. They need a solution. Whether it's a corporate treasury trying to figure out what do we hold all of our cash in? Do we just want to keep on holding cash and letting our value be eroded? And whether it's, little guy Joe Blow who's trying to not lose all of his money to inflation, whether it's a corporate treasury, whether it's a central bank or one of the large financial institutions, they need a solution. They need a neutral bridge currency that works well for payments, that can also be a store of value. XRP checks off both boxes. Bitcoin checks off the boxes, but is it efficient? Is it cheap for payments? Absolutely not. And so this is the advantage, and this is why we've pivoted to XRP. I don't own any Bitcoin, and I'm not rooting against Bitcoin, but I think for us, it's the combination of that store of value plus the additional utility. And this is all turning to the big focus of tokenization. Tokenization is not happening on Bitcoin. Is it all going to come to XRP? I'm not here to say that. I have Canton, I have HBAR, I've diversified into a few other plays that I think get a piece of that tokenization. But the point being, focus where the utility's at. Canary Capital and their XRP ETF now available on Vanguard. And this comes out after we reported yesterday that Vanguard's now looking to hire a head of digital assets. These are 10 trillion plus asset managers that said we were never going to touch crypto. We're not going to offer the crypto ETFs to our clients. We're not going to roll out our own products to now they're available. Please don't take your assets and leave our platform. Please stick around. You want crypto? Here's crypto. And the best firms on Wall Street are saying, you want crypto? Here's crypto. We have a perfectly packaged up product for you, my friend. And I told you guys that the suits were going to be selling it with slideshow presentations. You got me putting together some slideshows in my content lately for you guys. I've been having fun with that. And I'm right there alongside the suits on Wall Street that are selling it as well. Vanguard bringing access is a big deal. Just like this partnership, Kansas Jayhawks, a shared commitment to innovation and excellence. Kansas Athletics is proud to announce a new groundbreaking partnership with Ripple, bringing the XRP brand to Jayhawk uniforms. Brad Garlinghouse says, it's a rare moment where my professional and personal worlds collide. XRP is now the first crypto on the jersey of a major college athletics program at my alma mater. XRP family, meet the Jayhawks, rock chalk. And I want you guys to note, Ripple. Did they go put the Ripple logo on here? That would have been very easy for them to do. If they only cared about Ripple, if it was all about Ripple and they didn't care about XRP, they wouldn't be putting an XRP patch on the jersey. See, and everybody wants to criticize Ripple. Can we give them some credit where credit's due? Right? We complain about how much money Ripple's making. Well, at least they're putting it to good use, right? And this is just one example. I could go on. The list goes on and on about initiatives that they've done with other universities, blockchain research. On July 4th, they were matching any donation for some vets charity I saw. If you donated to the charity, they were matching it. And they accepted payments in XRP and RLUSD for that charity. Once again, it all comes back to the North Star. It all comes back to XRP. This isn't Ripple branding. This is let's spread the message for the XRP family. We're going to put an XRP patch on the jersey, not the Ripple logo. And I like to take a moment to appreciate that. For all the criticisms that we have for Ripple, who else is doing more to push our ecosystem forward? Who have you onboarded in the past week to XRP? Because I'll tell you right now that Ripple sure brings a lot of eyeballs and is sure onboarding a lot of people to the XRP family, just like I try to do, Ripple's doing, and the majority of our community does as well too. You're onboarding, you're pushing, you're spreading the message and educating based on fundamentals, not just hype and narratives. That's important. Speaking of going past hype and narratives to real utility, T54 just rolled out their new XRP Ledger AI Hub. AI activity on the XRP Ledger now has a home featuring our ecosystem launch partner, Virtuals, a single destination for agents, AI projects, tools, and payment services building on the XRP Ledger. So the utility is all arriving. It's not going to be taken to scale this year. I'm not expecting XRP to go to $1,000 this year. I'm setting my expectations a little bit lower than that. But the reason why I am still so bullish on XRP, despite the terrible first half this year that we had, is because I've lived through these cycles before. In fact, this is my third crypto bear market. And I want you guys to see how these have played out before and see if maybe this is an opportunity we should be excited about. I think you guys already know the answer, but let's run through it. Cassie trades with her update this morning. These are the levels I've been talking about for months. XRP has come right back down to test the major 786 retracement at $1.09. As I've said repeatedly, this is a major macro level. Markets don't just touch levels like this once and immediately move on. Since the beginning of June, XRP has spent weeks pulling liquidity from this area. Every test helps exhaust supply and selling pressure. The most likely scenario is we eventually break towards the 87-cent support level. That's that 87-cent low that she's been calling for. Sub $1 XRP, your last opportunity, the final, the last. I know those are triggering words for the XRP community. How dare you say it's the last opportunity? Well, last bear market, as I'm about to show you, was your last chance to get 30-cent XRP. Is this going to be the last chance to pick up XRP below $1? I believe it is. While many have been calling bottoms throughout this entire correction on every green candle, I've consistently argued that XRP would likely need a test of $1.09 or 87 cents before a true macro pivot could occur. And here we are. We went all the way down to $1.01, as a matter of fact, right? We're no longer talking about hypothetical levels. We're sitting on them. Guys, this is how the bear markets finish up. This is how that final low gets set, and the last opportunity to pick up XRP below $1 comes and goes. This is 2022 bear market, and I want you guys to pay very, very close attention here. See, back in May of 2022, Luna collapsed and it brought XRP down to 33 cents. That wasn't the bottom. XRP bottomed in June of 2022, June 18th to be exact, at about 28, almost 29 cents. Now, if you missed that low, you might have been thinking to yourself at that time, oh crap, that was my last chance to pick up XRP under 30 cents. You would be correct. That was the final buy opportunity below 30 cents. If you missed it June 18th, 2022, you will never have that opportunity again. Gone. Is the same thing happening with sub $1 XRP? I believe that the setup is there. But what I want you guys to see is the very important point right here, which is that we came back to test these levels again over half a dozen times within a basically 4 to 5 cent range, right? We went on down to about 28 cents, but I circled these markers right here. Came down to 30 cents, 30 cents, 31 cents, 32 cents, 30 cents right there again in January of 2023. So that was it. And then it started to take back off. And so you are watching right now as we come back down here. We've already come down to $1.01, which is kind of in between that $1.09 level and that 87-cent low that Cassie trades and others are calling for. We're right there. And what I want you guys to be aware of is that even though we might not go down and set a new low, maybe the low already is in, are we going to come back down close to that low within a 5 to 10 cent range? See, last bear market, I showed you guys that the range that we came back down into was about a 4-cent margin between 28 cents, which was the low, and then half a dozen opportunities over the next 6 months to buy below 32 cents. See, these are the buy-ins that you don't want to miss. You don't need to time the bottom. You didn't need to buy 28-cent XRP bottom perfectly to, 10x, have a 10x opportunity. You could have bought it 30 cents. You could have bought it 32 cents and rode it back to $3.20 and caught your 10 bagger. So what I'm saying is you don't need to time the bottom perfectly. Just try to get within that range, that margin down here. And here's the XRP chart for the current cycle. And I've been predicting the final bear market low. Back in March, I thought it was going to come. It didn't. We had a rally all throughout Q2, carrying us into May at least. And then we started to roll over as we entered back into June. And then sure enough, June comes around and we set what very well could be the bear market low for this cycle. And so with the current structure, and because we're at bigger prices, back in the 2022 cycle, we were talking about a 28 cent XRP and then coming back within a range between 28 and 32 cents. So, let's just say a 4 cent range, 4 or 5 cent range. Well, we're talking bigger numbers, right? We're up here at $1. And so I think that range that we could trade within here a few times is going to be about 5 to 10 cents. So either way you want to play this is $1 the low. And so we've come back here. We're at $1.07 as I record this update. This is what I'm talking about, where the low could already have been set, but now you're just going to get about, a few, maybe half a dozen opportunities like you got in 2022 to pick up XRP within that range. It's not going to be a 3 to 4 cent range. Maybe it's going to be a 5 to 10 or even a 20 cent range where we accumulate and consolidate at that level before we ultimately make that major pivot back to a bull run, which is coming. And just imagine you get this swing from 28 cents on the bear market low up to $3.60 for XRP. You do something similar. No crazy, nothing insane. I'm not even talking anything crazy here. Just letting these cycles play out. Is another 10 bagger waiting for you on XRP at the current levels? I believe it is, which is why I've been buying more. I got my buyers in to buy even more. I'm buying other assets like HBAR and looking at XLM and others. This is how these play out. It's nothing to be overly concerned about, but it's also something not to sleep on. We don't want to run with the assumption that we're going to be able to pick up at these levels for another 6 months from here. We've already been trading at these levels for 3 going on 4 months. Basically, if you go back to February, this is when we originally came down to $1.11. So you're talking about, almost 5 months here, 5 months of consolidation in this range. And, I think that we're getting close. If Bitcoin follows the cycle, it'll bottom out in October. If XRP follows the cycle, the bottom's already in June. And I'm not here to say definitively that the bottom is in, but like I said, I'm prepared for this market to go either way. My long-term holdings are set. If we want to go back into a bull run, we are ready for that party. If we want to give the market one last chance to buy under $1, I will be taking advantage of that. And that's all we can do is understand the moment that you're in, zoom out, take a deep breath, go touch grass, go get a pump in. If this market's too much, go take a quick break. But set your orders before you go take a break and touch the grass. That's what I do, at least, is I make sure that I got my orders placed. I'm positioned. I'm not going to be liquidated. I'm not going to have to sell off anything. I can just continue to accumulate stress-free, keep it in free institutional grade custody, and let the market play out here before we pivot back to that bull run and we go back to catching 5 baggers and 10 baggers, and it's going to be fun again. So I hope you guys are having fun right now. We're going to have a lot more fun when we pivot back to the bull run, but it is coming. Let me know in the comments down below where you guys got your buy orders for XRP set at. I'm curious to see where you guys see this going and how it's going to play out. I appreciate all of your guys' support, and if you haven't already, please help us out by liking this video, sharing our content out far and wide. It really does help us. It's the only way that we stay open and operating is through your support. So thank you for hitting our affiliate links, using our community resources that we provide, going to my sponsor, I Trust Capital, and then we also have the private community if you're looking to get tapped in there as well too. I'll see you guys in the next one. God bless you all.